Greetings all, Ferrari 601 here. Welcome back to Assetto Corsa and welcome back to Silverstone for another 100-kilometer shakedown of Racing Studios Formula Hybrid 2022. But this time it is the S trim. Yeah, we did a 100K shakedown of the standard version of this car, but now it's time to do the S trim, which is notably different in that we have different sound, slightly different physics, and the biggest change in the physics is we do not have any possibility for that porpoising oscillation in the S trim as we do in the standard trim, which means that we, in theory, should be a little bit more efficient and should be a little bit more stable, which therefore is probably going to pay dividends in lap time. Otherwise, though, we are going to do the same sort of run plan that we did for the standard version, 100K, which comes out to 16 and a bit laps. And, yeah, let's just see how we get on here with the differences here in version 3 of Formula Hybrid 2022 S. There we go, 3950 idling here in the, what you could call the totally not Mercedes engine S trim of Formula Hybrid 2022. There is first gear. Let the clutch out. And there we go. We'll just slowly bring the tires up to temperature. And I am ever so slightly detecting a difference in the engine sounds here. Not something that I expected, but to me it sounds like the bass frequencies are a little bit less severe. I'm hearing more mid and treble. You can let me know if that comes across on the video, but it sounds a little bit different to me, and it is not at all unpleasant. 10,500 it starts to come in pretty strong in terms of the treble range. At any rate, though, obviously no porpoising on this version of the car, which means that things are going to be stable. Let's see how we go with some hybrid power. The car is still bottoming, and I can hear that as well, but it is not nearly as severe as it is on the standard version with the porpoising oscillation getting really set up. Turn off the hybrid deploy here because we kind of made a mess at turn 1. But so far, so good. This feels a lot more stable than the standard version. And as far as I can tell, it feels slightly more stable than the previous version, V2, of the S trim. But that is yet to be determined. I can hear the car bottoming, though, over the bigger bumps at the end of the straight, so that still makes sense. I can hear that a little bit better with the slightly tweaked engine sounds, though. I do appreciate that. Right. 37,284 now, some hybrid power. The RS down Wellington. And those tires are just coming up in temperature very nicely. I've got good grip. Car feels consistent. Car feels stable. Little breathe out of the throttle there through cops. Breathe out of the throttle there through the end of Maggots and Beckett's, but time continuing to fall away relative to the previous session best. 300 clicks. Over the bumps. Little bit of oversteer there on the entrance into Stowe, but still okay. Next lap we're going to have to work on that. And full power. What do we have? 134.995. Full throttle all the way through turn 1, no problem. Couldn't do that in the standard version, not with all that porpoising. One and a half tenths down already in Sector 1. Looking good. Gave up some time. Right on a cusp. Three hundredths, 400ths. Was flat all the way through there. Probably gave up a bit of time through Chapel. Let's see how we do down Hanger. Wow, look at that. Almost 4 tenths. Yep, 4 tenths proper. Five tenths. Or as the rest of the world calls it, half a second. .54, .53, 134, 464. Lots of fours in that number, but cool. And that's with 111 liters of gas on board. Hybrid system is holding up very nicely. Take a look at the left column there on the dash, and you can see the energy reserve. Still plenty of electric boost juice here, not just for this lap, but overall in the car. Very nice. Yeah, lift on turn into cops, but by the time we get to the apex, we're already hard back into the throttle. I'm certainly quite pleased. I was a bit late on a DRS there because we had a little bit of a frame dropout, but trying to recover as best we can. More frame dropouts. That's not very welcome. Hopefully that snaps itself out. 134.221 nonetheless. Bounded over the sausage there unintentionally. 108 liters, 3/100ths down on the previous session best. Gaining a little bit of time through cops, obviously diminishing returns. That's a 10th down, DRS. There we go. Set session best with triggering the DRS very late. That's free time. Quarter second down. Hit the apex here. Squirt on the power, hit the apex there. Exit, watch the exit curves because they're a little bit slick. What do we have? 1:34.081. And that was lap 6. 10 to go. Second gear through here can keep the car a little bit tighter, but you might lose a little bit on acceleration out of the corner. Either way, another quarter down. 105 liters of fuel. .22. Gave away a little bit through cops. Little bit of oversteer there. The car is so loaded up in that point that if you get any sort of perturbation over the rear end, it's just you are chasing it. And you hope you don't chase it too much because then it will spit you off once the front axle grips again. .133.992. All right, so we are continually setting session bests. I think that is due to the fuel load burning down lap by lap. Some slight balance changes are coming in, but nothing too substantial, I would say. Really what this feels like, and again, I didn't get the absolute best representation of the standard trim because I was exploiting the CSP physics extension via the porpoising. I wanted to make sure that that worked. But what I'm getting here is consistency. It's got so much stability. Yes, you will get a little bit of, not oscillations, but at high speed you will get understeer. And then depending on whether or not you're bottoming the under tray, you may get some rear oversteer. But it's very stable. It's very consistent. You do get understeer across the front axle as you would expect. But braking is good. Overall cornering performance is to be expected given the situation you're throwing the car into. And there we did not set a session best. We are running low on the electric boost juice. Probably will run out on this lap. Yep, gonna say we will. And some understeer again. The tires are wearing in. Just as we saw on the standard trim, you can see our tire temperatures. We do have the disparity between the left and right sides, as you'd expect with this predominantly right turning racetrack. Lots of loading being thrown into the left side tires. But temperatures are to be expected as they are right now. half a second down. I'm going to shut down the deployment, and we're going to go to battery. I think we were actually in battery for most, if not all, of that run. So there is a little bit more hybrid power to have yet. And this is lap 10. So on lap 16, we must pit. So we're going to regen on this lap and possibly the next. We'll see how we go. MGUK 100%. Confirm that. There are just so many things to keep in mind when you're running this car, and the relatively small number of adjustments that I've made so far in this run, not necessarily indicative of all the things that you got to be thinking about, and not necessarily indicative of all the things that you are messing with over the course of a race stint. Right now we are in 100% regen, and we're able to do that because we're not competing with anybody. But if we were in a race situation where, let's say, you're fighting for position, trying to attack or defend, the guy ahead of you or the guy attacking you may be able to deploy everything right now. So you need to budget that. We are almost entirely recuperated, though, in terms of our energy store. And there we go. We have recuperated all of that. We're going to go to motor on the MGUH. We're going to go to balanced on the MGUK delivery. We're going to remain at 100% regen on the MGUK harvest. And off we go. Lap 11. Started to get away from me there. We were able to catch it. And yeah, because we're not harvesting through the MGUH, I think we are able to throw a little bit more at it. However, big slide. We are going to harvest again. What is our rear axle temperature? Looking good, actually. And that could happen to anybody at any time. I have to wonder if perhaps, because I've switched the MGUH to motor rather than battery, slightly less regen going on under braking, and that was enough to shift the brake balance. I'm not sure. I wouldn't think so, but it's possible. The S trim of FH22 has historically been a little bit more skatey on the rear end than the standard, but I've tended to get on quite nicely with both of them. So we'll try. I'm going to ratchet the brake bias to rear a little bit. Right, so MGUH to motor and balanced for our deploy. A little bit of manual here to fill the gap to the line, and we're good again. Definitely having an issue here on the rear axle. Not able to throw the car into the corner in the same way as it was with the MGUK or the MGUH on battery. Let's go for some forward brake bias and see what we could do. Still going to be quicker running in this mode, but still. Again, we are illustrating the balance change, which will happen. Lost a lot of time there with some mid-corner oversteer. Gaining all sorts of time here at the end of the lap. (1:33.792), fastest lap of the session. See how we do here. Get it into the apex. There you go. That was a little scary, but you keep your foot in it. Lots of understeer now. The tires are going off. We are on the softs. We were at the last run in the standard car. So we have 1:33.618. We are on lap 14. A little bit of a lockup there on the right front with the weight transfer to be expected. That left front tire broke 100C. Left rear right behind it. But even though the tires are starting to go off a little bit, the car still feels good. Feels pretty consistent. Feels quite stable. Little bit of mid-corner oversteer there. Still quite good, getting ready for our last flyer. Might run out of electricity on this coming lap, but we'll find out. 1:33.635, almost exactly the same lap time as last time. Very positive though under braking there. That's 600ths quicker. Get that nose into the apex. There we go. Squirt on the throttle into third. Let the throttle turn the car. Feed it in full power. And at Cops, breathe, full power. Had to breathe more than I wanted. Lost a little bit of time. Still going for it. Into Maggots and Beckett's. We are out of electrical boost juice coming down hanger. We are going to be losing time with that. Into Stowe, fifth gear, full power. And into the Vale for the final complex. Yeah, we did not have the ability to deploy the electricity for the end of that lap, and that ultimately killed us. But 133.890. Still pretty good. And really, the S trim feels a little bit more consistent, I think, than the standard. And again, the standard, I'm somewhat biased against it only because we didn't really give it a fair shake setup-wise. We had a lot of porpoising, and that was intentional. Checking out the CSP physics. But this actually feels a little bit more stable than I remember it from the previous version. So this is actually a little bit interesting. But regardless, coming into the pits now. Because again, we do not want to fall afoul of these testing regs of 100 clicks. And there we go. Bring it to a stop. Beautiful. Very, very cool. RSS Formula Hybrid 2022 S. Yeah, running the number 23 per special request. However, yeah, just as we had expected from what we saw with the standard trim, this one, I don't notice any appreciable differences performance-wise or in terms of how you need to be driving the car. How are you going to interface with it, and what could you expect it to give you? What has changed a little bit, though, is it feels a little bit more stable, which is very welcome. I have gotten on pretty well with both versions of FH22, but the S trim did take a little bit more getting used to, and I think that here in this version 3 spec, it's a little bit more stable, which makes it a little bit more accessible, which I think makes it a little bit better in terms of overall accessibility for everybody, because not everyone will have spent thousands of hours with not just this car, but with previous RSS products, and they'll understand the little minutia of the physics, the little details about how they render things, how things manifest themselves as you're out on track. But this one will be a little bit more accessible, I think, as it is here in V3 versus how it has been in its previous specifications. So that is welcome. The sounds, at least the onboard sounds, I appreciate that as well. The bass has been dropped a little bit from what I can hear, which has amplified and accentuated the treble, which I think is cool, considering that's generally what we hear with the onboard sounds from the Formula One coverage back in 2022, particularly on the Mercedes engine cars, which this one obviously is patterned after with the engine sounds. So I like that. It's a little detail. A lot of people probably won't even notice it, but I noticed it, and I appreciate it. I think it does sound a little bit more appropriate. So I do like that very, very much. But there it is, FH22S. And again, I am quite surprised that with this one in particular, the standard car not so much, but with this one, there have been, I think, some drivability improvements, which are going to affect not just how the car is handling for you, but it may well positively impact the enjoyability factor, because this one, it took a little bit of a learning curve to become accustomed to how it was going to be putting its power down, as well as to how it was dealing with weight transfer into low and medium speed corners. And it manifested with snap oversteer in a lot of cases, and that was unsettling. But this is not quite doing that anymore. And I think that a lot of you who are perhaps a little bit more casual are going to appreciate that. It's a little bit more approachable. It's not quite as abrupt. And again, you're going to be able to catch it when it breaks free, which was not always something that was possible beforehand. So that's what I've got here for you today, FH22S, and it's cool. It's really cool. The V3 update for Racing Studios Formula Hybrid 2022 in the standard and S trims. Again, you should have gotten an email via the email account that you used to purchase FH22 the first time around. You should have gotten an email from Racing Studio linking you to the update package for FH22. Go download that if you have not, because, again, it's really good. As I said in the previous video, driving the standard version, sometimes I have been a little bit afraid to update RaceSim Studio cars, only because I get used to how they are in one trim, and then there's an update, and they don't make anything worse, for sure, but it's just different, and I need to go through that learning process again. Not the case here. This is going to be very sympathetic to what you already know, and it's just going to be improving on an already fantastic product. So go check your emails if you have not already. RSS should have gotten into contact with you. Until next time, though, for RMan601 saying thank you all very, very much for watching, and of course, we will see you soon.